Greetings, family. Happy Monday. First of all, y'all know what do I have to check? Let's make sure that we have sound, right? Because y'all know how Facebook don't like, YouTube don't like me. YouTube be hating on me. So let's make sure that we have sound, and we're gonna get this started. I do need to put music on because I just can't not have music when I do my lives. Like, even if it's low, I just need a little bit of music. Do we have sound? We have sound. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. All right, so let me put my mic in now. Get the music started. Let you all find your way to me. I know it's been a while since we have talked about Nancy Guthrie, but I have not forgotten about her. Let's put this in. Again, to make sure that the sound is up to date and it is working. It is. It is. Okay. Welcome. Happy Monday after the holiday. We know that it's not always easy after the holiday. I'm just going to hold this. Since I'm not doing the computer and stuff like that, I can just hold it. It has been a day, right? None of the computers wanted to work today. Nothing wanted to work because y'all know the day after the holiday, the technology is like, what? I'm still on holiday break. What are you talking about? So I'm not going to hold you all for long. We're just going to have a quick conversation about Nancy. Um, we all know, right? We all know that she has been missing. Nancy Guthrie has been missing since February 1st, 2026. We know that she is or was an 84-year-old that was abducted from her home in the Catalina foothills right here in Tucson, Arizona. Welcome to Tucson. Okay, I was like, is someone in my backyard? Um, and she's been missing for more than 155 days. Now, from day one, everyone has just been speculating, right? Just based on what law enforcement has released to the public, but it's all speculation because what the FBI knows, they're not going to share with us. We know that they're not going to share anything with us. Law enforcement really isn't sharing anything either. There has been some um, mainstream media that did get a little bit more information than others, but we're all just sitting here waiting to find out what happened to Nancy. Now, I'm not going over there. I'm not going over to her home. I know that that is what the thumbnail was. I just didn't get a chance to take off live on location. Y'all know I'm not going over there. I'm not giving the state of Arizona or the town of Pima any more money than I have to give them. Not me. Not me. I don't have money like that, y'all. We got school going on. We have other things going on. I don't have money like that to just give. I don't want to give the government any more money than I have to give them. They're rich enough. We're not. I'm not. 5-5. I'm not. So unfortunately, another holiday has passed, and not just the Guthrie family, not just Nancy's children, her grandchildren, friends, and family, all families that have a missing a loved one that has been missing, another holiday has passed and their loved one has not been found. I don't ever want to even think about, I don't even want to think about that, right? I know I have a friend where she said her uncle has been missing for since she was a child and she's in her 30s. And it's extremely unfortunate, right? And that's why I know that some people didn't want us to do the vigil, but it was a hope vigil, a hope that if she was still alive, that the people that abducted her would let us know. Well, not let us know, but let someone know. Let the family know. Let someone know where she is. But so let's talk about the ransom notes, right? There's been many um articles that have come out, and people are like, well, these ransom notes are fake. These ransom notes are real. The FBI has said that, you know, the FBI has said that they are still following leads. And that's all we know. They're still following leads. We know that well, if you don't know, when the FBI told me when they come in, they always come in after the fact, right? The FBI is not there before the fact unless it's a sting operation, right? But they come in after the fact. If a crime has been committed, 7-7, if a crime has been committed, they're coming in after the fact. They're not coming in, oh my goodness, we know what's going on right now. No, that's how the FBI works. They're coming in after the fact. Now, I need my tablet so I can read y'all comments. But let me see if I could just pull it up. If there are any comments, I don't even know if there are any comments. Hello, diverse. 12:35. Okay. So the FBI comes in after the fact. So let's just say, let's just talk about the ransom notes real quick, right? So they're speculating that, or they're saying that we know that one person, a California man, we talked about that before, Derek Callela, A8. Callela is Callella. We know that he pleaded guilty to sending fake extortionary messages to the family in February of 2026. We know that he pled guilty. Let me just read the article real quick. He pled guilty. SoCal man, so that's Southern California man, pleads guilty. This is per ABC 7. He pled guilty to making fake Nancy Guthrie ransom demands. This was on Thursday, July 2nd, 2026. A Hawthorne man has pleaded guilty to making a fake ransom demand in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. Um, y'all know that's what he looks like, right? That's what he looks like. I just pray that I'm never in a position where I'm on meth and I'm on, all these different rogues with a D, right? Where I have to do questionable things to allow or leave someone's family suffering, bringing more pain to a family that's already in pain, right? It's unfortunate that they lost their father the way they lost their father, and now they lost their mother in this manner. It's unfortunate, and I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Even enemies that I actually do have that I don't like, I wouldn't wish that on anyone, because for you to wake up and wait, my mother's gone, and to not know what happened to her, that is just absolutely horrible. And they have went through Mother's Day. Can you imagine what Mother's Day was like for them? There are people that have lost their mom, and they're able to go to the grave and put flowers and talk to their mom, but they can't do any of those things. All they can do is probably, I don't want to say make a shrine, but all they can do is really hope and pray that someone says something, someone that knows something says something. Well, we're going to get to that when with the saying something, right? What comes with that? So they went through Mother's Day, they went through Father's Day. It is sad. They went through Mother's Day, they went through, at least they can mourn their father in a proper manner, right? I'm assuming the way their father passed away, they were able to bring his body back to America. So they could probably go and pay their respects to their dad, but they can't pay their respects to their mom. They don't know what happened. I respect Savannah, her being the baby. My little sister is so strong, and I'm like, girl, you were strong when I couldn't be strong, right? I admire her relationship with God that's getting her through. We know that she has days where she just cry. We know that anyone that's human that's going through this are going to have days where they're just like they break down, right? But the fact that she has to get on TV in front of our faces every day and still not knowing what happened to her mom. Now, they were talking about, let's talk about this. So, a Los Angeles County man has pleaded guilty to making fake ransom notes, fake ransom demands in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. Derek Kalela, oh, he looks like a drug addict. Yeah, he looks like a drug addict. Is charged with 2 counts of telephonic harassment. Well, LA, y'all did something. His plea deal in Tucson federal court calls for 5 years of probation on each count. Also, he has 10 years probation to be served at the same time. Okay, so they're run concurrently. Now, if he probation, Tay has never been arrested. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. I have never been arrested, right? I've never been on probation, none of that stuff. But if he violates his probation, they're probably going to throw him in jail. So he's lucky that it was 5 years probation and not 10 years. He's lucky that his charges, that his time is being served at the same time. He's lucky that it's being run concurrently and not consecutively, because then that would have been 10 years, right? Federal prosecutors say that the Hawthorne man sent the Guthrie family 2 text messages and made a phone call shortly after Today's Show host Savannah Guthrie's mother disappeared. Kayaya is due back in court for sentencing in September. For now, he has been ordered into residential drug treatment. Savannah Guthrie made an emotional appeal to viewers last month to come forward with any information about her missing mother, a day after it was reported that a ransom note received months ago had indicated that she was dead. So we're going to get into that once I finish reading this about these ransom notes. We are in agony and we cannot be at peace, Savannah says. We love our mom. We'll never stop looking for her, Guthrie said at the Today desk in New York, holding a tissue in her left hand. Nancy Guthrie, 84, who lived alone, was reported missing from her Tucson area home on February 1st. We talked about that. The FBI released video more than a week later about the cameraman. You know, they were saying that they think that the people in town are saying that they think that the masked person is a woman. But like I said, it's all speculation. It's all speculation because we don't know anything. I live right here in town. We don't know anything. We don't know what the neighbors know. We don't know what the FBI knows. We don't know what Pima County Sheriff's Department knows. We don't know anything. But do you all think that the masked person that was in the camera on her front porch, do you think that person is still alive? Because around town speculation, people are speculating that was the fall person. They're saying that person is gone. Now, if that person was the fall person, then why would they keep that person alive in case that person knows something, right? Who knows? We're all speculating. It's all speculation. So it says that was the person, the masked person, the masked stranger. We know that her blood was found on the porch. Some blood was found on the porch, but the case remains unresolved. So or unsolved. So only one person that we know of has been held accountable, but there were quite a bit of ransom notes that came through. Like TMZ, it was like every week a ransom note was coming through. So I remember when we were out there and I was talking to Ford Hatch of ABC News in Phoenix, and they were speculating that the second ransom note, that they think that she was gone, right? They were saying that, we think, and I was like, well, no. He was like, well, we hope for the best, but they think that she's gone. But after 155 days, honestly, I hope that the woman has went on to glory, to be with her creator, right? Whatever people think. But she was a Christian, so she believed in God. But I truly hope that she has moved on, because who wants to be in captivity by abductors for over 155 days? I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to be. Every day you're just like, are they gonna kill me? She's 84. I'm 46. I'll be 47 and boop 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 in almost a week. Um, but I know I can't even imagine how I would feel. I've never been abducted. I felt like I was abducted when I was overseas, right? God, I can't get out. Oh, let me out, right? But I've never been abducted. I've never been kidnapped. So, and then for her to be 84 years old, that's on a whole different level, right? That is, and then she had heart issues, she had heart problems. So if they said that she's gone, I will hope that she's at peace now. And I will hope that she's with her husband, right? She's with the ancestors. And hopefully she is now a guardian angel to her children, her grandchildren, her friends, her family, right? That's all that's all you can do is hope for the best. Now, I know that there have been some articles that came out and about the ransom note. So as of July 2026, this is July, right? The FBI has deemed three major ransom notes connected to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie to be fake, right? Identifying them as extortion attempts by individuals not connected to the actual abduction. While some earlier reports suggested all notes were fake, right? I heard that, right? I wanted to do more videos on this, but like I said, it's all speculation. So I'm like, Shantae, just leave it alone until you feel in your heart, in your spirit to talk about it. And that's why I'm talking about it now, right? It's been weighing a little bit too heavy. Holidays have passed, and the guy he pled guilty or whatever. How could he not plead guilty? There is no. It has to be Ruggs with a D for someone to say, you know what? She was abducted. Let me try to get some money. Because who in their right mind would say? Who in their right mind would send text messages and call? First of all, how did he get the number? I don't know. There are a lot of questions I have, right? I wish I was able to sit in court and listen to that, but I wasn't. So while some earlier reports suggested that all notes were fake, more recent statements from the FBI indicate that while several were fraudulent, others received during the investigation may still be under investigation as potentially legitimate. So we can speculate, but evidently the FBI thinks that some of them were potentially legitimate um ransom notes. Now that's per the Hollywood Report plus four other. They just combined it. It's an AI overview. So the key developments, I told y'all about the fake note. California man Derek, he pled guilty. But the FBI, their assessment is the FBI continues to investigate the case as a kidnapping for ransom, despite some notes being deemed as extortion attempts without legitimacy. So, like I said, the FBI is not going to tell us what's actually real, what's not. We won't know anything 1717. We won't actually know anything until breaking news, someone has been arrested. We won't know anything. I just honestly, when I first started covering this, I was like, there's no way. We thought that Friday for the raid, we like, okay, this is coming to an end. And that's what I said. Y'all, if y'all heard that video, it's 109 degrees out here, y'all. At least July 4th gave us 98 degrees. Now it went up 10 degrees. I'm like, in one day? So, you all heard a lot of us saying, well, at least after Friday, after today, the night of the raid, and we were out there all night, the night of the raid, you heard a lot of us say, well, at least we know that after tonight, we'll know something. I didn't think that 100 and some odd days later that we would still be saying, where is Nancy Guthrie? I told y'all, we live in the desert. Like, I live here. I've been here for 10 years. I don't really go anywhere at night. I mean, I go everywhere with my, exercising my Second Amendment right, 1818. I don't really go anywhere at night unless I'm going from point A to point B. Because number one, I think people were crazy before COVID, But I think they were able to hide it a little bit better. Now people cannot hide their crazy. It's just out there on Front Street and it's just there and they can't bring it back in 1919. So it's just like, you all are excellent. Y'all are coming in, y'all clicking that like button because it's even. Thank you so much for that. So, I respect the people that continue to go out there and search. I know I'm not going to go by myself as a female. I'm not doing that. I know where I live. I know where I live. And there are a lot of people that are on rugs with a D. Okay? From the buses are free. So anyone can get on the buses. The people that's on rugs with a D, they're on there. I think somebody got, it's just a whole bunch of nonsense that I'm just like, mm-mm. And you just don't know. From what they're saying, the DA is just they're arresting the people that's on rugs with the D and they're just letting them go. They're not prosecuting them. I don't understand that one. I truly don't, because it's like, so you're not prosecuting. Okay, so people that are on rugs with a D, they need help. But if they're not going to get help and they're just going to get government assistance and be out there, just out there, just out there, they are posted up at most of the bus stations. They're out there, they have whatever they carrying, but you could tell that they're on rugs with a D. I don't want to be sitting there and you don't know. When I went out there to feed the community for Thanksgiving, what did I get out the car? What did I hear? A shovel on concrete. I'm like, and I see this dude, he has a shovel. He's trying to shovel concrete. That you on rugs with the D, brother. He was a brother. He looked at me. I looked at him. He looked at what was in my hand, which was me exercising my Second Amendment right. I said, girl, get back in this car and drive around the corner. Because I wasn't trying to run from him and then it turned into something crazy and then I'm on the news, black girl shoots black man. I'm not trying to be, no. So I used my brain and I was like, okay, I looked at him, he looked at me, he looked at, it was in my hand, he looked at my pal. I'm like, get right back in the car, right? I got right back in the car. I drove around the corner. What did I see? Police, Tucson police, SUVs. I was like, oh, it was more lit. I said, okay, this is Shantae, follow your first instinct. You didn't follow your first instinct 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago, and look what happened. Follow your first instinct. Follow your first mind. That's what the Gambians say. Follow your first mind, right? And I'm just like, okay. But we are 45 minutes away from, now you see where Nancy Guthrie lives about 15, 20 minutes away from me. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. Right? I'm living close to millionaires. God is great. And I am nowhere close to being a millionaire. Tay, poor. Right? But I won't be after I finish my degree. But it's like, so we live about 45 minutes, maybe almost an hour away from the border, right? The closer you get downtown, South Tucson, you real close to the border. It's more crime down there, right? It is it Is it too far-fetched to say, did somebody get on the bus, on a free bus, and come up here and they found out that Nancy Guthrie, that her daughter is on TV, and they decided, I'm going to kidnap this 84-year-old. It's not that far-fetched. Look at what Derek did. Look at what Derek did. Derek, when someone is on rugs, I refuse to believe that someone that did this is in their right mind. What do y'all think? I don't think anyone is in their right mind if they did this. Normal people in their right mind is not going to say, let me go and kidnap this 84-year-old because I'm going to get some money. 84-year-olds, first of all, if you ever been around older people, number one, they don't get around very well. They're 84. Okay. Even the people I go to the gym with, they be moving a little bit slower. They're going to complain. I know I complain. So I know an older person is complaining, right? And then they have health issues. You don't know what health issues they have. So it's just like somebody was a Riri. Okay. They were special, not in their right mind to say, I'm going to go and kidnap this 84-year-old woman and I'm going to hold her for ransom. Well, what if she has a heart attack? Right? I don't have the air on, y'all. I've been sweating all day, so I'm like, I'm not cutting the air on. So, but what if she has a heart attack, right? It just doesn't make sense to kidnap an 84-year-old. Shoot, it feels hotter out there. All right, let's keep that closed. I'll open that, more heat comes in. Let me get my fan. So it's just like, it just wasn't smart. This is why, we all speculated that, things like this that happen is it could be someone close to most of the time, 99% of the time, it's someone close to the family, it's someone close to you, right? When 187s happen, most of the time it's someone that's close to that person, right? Because only someone that 99% of the time can get you as upset and angry, like, oh, I want to unalive that person. Not me. When people make me that angry, I'm getting away from them. I'm walking away. I'm like, Shantae, this person is not good for you. If they're getting you this angry, you need to get the heck away from them, because you're going to get yourself into some real trouble. So I'm not going to stay around someone that brings the worst out of me. I'm not going to do that. But then there are times where we know the serial unalivers, right? Those are, stranger crimes. It happens, but it's not most of the time, right? If you are a true crime addict, like most of us are, right? I watch true crime all the time. It's just that I don't get in front of the camera and talk about it. And that's what I'm trying to get better with. But I'm not going to say that when I get in front of the camera that there are certain reasons why I don't really want to get in front of the camera. And if I'm not comfortable with how I look because of how much weight I gained. So, but I'm trying, right? I'm trying. So, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there. But it's not all the time that it is. Most of the time it's not stranger danger, right? It's not stranger unaliving. It is someone that that tends to take your life, right? It's someone, it's like, oh, you made me so angry, I'm just gonna, whether it's relationships, whether it's family, whether it's money, there are different reasons why people unalive people. But I'm just saying that it's not that far-fetched that someone that was on Rugs with a D has decided to get on the free bus and come and try to do this to her, right? I just refuse to think that it's someone I wanted to think that it was someone that was organized, so that way she's still alive, but I don't think it was someone that was that organized. Because if the ransom note is real, where they said that, I think that was the second one. Y'all remember when Savannah was sitting with her family, with her sisters, and she was saying, I understand. That's the one that they were speculating, saying that she was gone, right? And I was like, well, it's too early. Maybe she's not gone. If it's about money, you think about Taken. Was it Taken? No, Man on Fire. The dude, the voice that was kidnapping, that was really kidnapping, because those were children that he was taking in the movie. And he was like, I'm a businessman, right? A unalive child is worth nothing to me, is what he was saying. So I was hoping that, hey, Venice and Phoenix, how you doing, girl? I was hoping that, right? But I don't know. Like I said, it's all speculation. But if they're saying that she is with, because one of the ransom notes said that she's with nature now. Now, living in the desert is vast. Hey, Van Life and Bayou, how you doing? Happy Monday, guys. I hope you're having a great Monday. She could be anywhere. So if they're saying, oh, she's with nature now. Now, okay. So we will say, well, all right, if she's with nature, then why wouldn't the abductors tell? Greetings. Okay, I can't see that one. It went away really quickly. But greetings. I think you said you're from JLL Army. Greetings. Welcome, guys. I feel like there it is. Lex. Lex and Nicole vlogs. So I feel like we all know with technology now, even if they send a ransom note, right? And it is the real people that abducted her. And they're like, okay, so we want to put your family at ease, and we want to tell you where she is. With technology, first of all, they're dusting the note for fingerprints, right? They're dusting the note for everything. Everything that the forensic science does behind the scenes for the FBI, they're checking everything because they want to track. You still did something that was illegal. That's a federal crime, right? No matter who people go with, Trump or not Trump, Trump did say if she ends up dead, then they're coming after that person for what? The DP penalty, right? DP. So whether they find out who did it and that actually happens, personally, I think they probably, this is Arizona. And as far as I know, Arizona has the DP. Am I wrong, y'all? My Arizona people, am I wrong? They have DP here, right? Where the government will say, okay, we're going to unalive you legally, but you will be gone, right? So I know California has it, but people be on, I don't even think California has executed anyone in forever, right? I'm like, so y'all just using taxpayers' money to keep these people alive? Just go ahead. If they got the DP, then go ahead and let them go. Send them on to their next life. Am I wrong? I'm sorry. I believe in the DP. I really do. Because some people, I'm just like, they are so diabolical. They are so diabolical. Some people are so horrible. I'm gonna finish with that. But Savannah Guthrie has publicly stated that she believed the initial notes they received were real, despite other later notes being identified as scams. We know, I think the FBI, along with the private investor, the person that privately put up a reward, I think it's at 1.5 or 1.25. It's still 1 point some odd million. It's still over $1 million. The ransom, the reward, not the ransom, the reward is still over 1 million, a $1 million reward, and it remains active. But if someone did say, okay, I know something, I'm going to say something, even the Good Samaritan is probably afraid. Because how many times has a Good Samaritan been in in the hot seat at the police station? Well, what happened? Did you do it? Right? It's just, that's just law enforcement, right? If they get a piece of something, they're going to come at you and you be like, well, I know I didn't do it. I know who did it. Who did it then? You kept all this information. People probably are afraid to be charged for even having information. But if they sent a letter, because she was just, Savannah has pleaded with the abductors to say, we want our mom home for the holidays. We want not for the holidays. We want our mom home so we can celebrate her life, right? With the different things that she was saying, they just want to be able to 27. They want to be able to go and pay their respects to their mom. I think, yes, they know that she's probably unalive, right? She's probably no longer on this planet with us. But on the flip side, knowing that you have her body and y'all can have a proper going home service for her is different than her just being out here buried in the desert. Like, first of all, let me just say this. Y'all saw how hard it was for me to put those lights down, right? Because it's the desert. So the dirt is hard. Someone knows something. And I've been saying this since day one. Someone knows something. You can't just dig a grave, because if they dug a shallow grave with the coyotes and all of the elements, so the animals are gonna unearth it, right? She was a little woman, but bones, something, dogs go and get bones. Dog 2929. Dogs they don't know the difference between a human bone and an animal bone. They just like, oh, or a chicken bone, right? They just gonna pick up the bone. I got a bone. They're gonna bring it home. Hey, look at this. I brought you something, owner. Y'all feed me. I brought you a bone, right? Do you agree? Especially if you live here in Arizona, right? Or in the desert period, California, New Mexico, Nevada. People from Nevada call it Nevada. When we say Nevada, they know that we're not from Nevada because we say Nevada. They call it Nevada. But we know that the elements in the animals, the javelinas, well, javelinas, they eat, they're herbivores, but the coyotes, these are in the dog family, right? Except for the javelinas, they're in the pig family, but they're going to dig. So if it was a shallow grave, then something should have been unearthed by now, right? Number one. Number two, if it's not a shallow grave, they have taken some time to dig. Someone's going to see something, unless they went way far out. Do you think one person dug the grave? So let's just say that they dug a 6x6 grave, 6 feet, 6x6, a regular. I don't know what the measurements of a grave site is, right? But I know they say it's 6 feet under. So say, do we think one person did that? I saw something that was called 187 amongst friends, the M word. I just don't want to say it, right? Amongst friends, right? And it was a group of young men, and they were out there all night digging, because it's not easy to dig in the desert. It's hard dirt. So you're going to have some water and more water and more water. One person didn't go out there, let me keep digging, let me keep digging. No, it is a group of people. It's at least, I'm thinking it's at least 3 people that were involved in this. At least 3. That's in my opinion. At least 3. So they say, how does one person get away with something if it's 3 people? I am paraphrasing, but you get rid of 2. That's why I say I think the person that went up to the door, I think that person was a fall guy or fall gal. That was the fall person. And I don't think that they're still alive. That's my opinion. Like I said, we all speculating. No one knows anything but the FBI. And good Lord, I wish I worked for the FBI. No one knows anything. Even when, there are criminologists, there are retired FBI agents, there are experts that are out here talking about this, but they're still speculating as well. Everyone is speculating about what has happened to Nancy. But now, if it's at least 3 people, let's just go down this rabbit hole. A lot of times I was like, we're not going to go down the rabbit hole. Well, it's been 155 days. Let's go down the rabbit hole. So if it's been 155 days, and it's at least 3 people, and let's just say that the fall guy has been unalived because he's the only one, he or she, the fall person is the only person that was on camera. Now, the other 2 are keeping their mouth shut. It's always one person in the crew that's like, I didn't know that this was going to happen. And this is why when people get arrested, when suspects are arrested, what happens? The law enforcement goes after the weakest link. Most of the time it's the women they'll go after. Then they be like, she more gangster than the dude. Some people are. Do I think that there's a main person that everyone is afraid of? Absolutely. Absolutely. But when it's more than one person, you have a better chance of someone saying something, like they can't keep it a secret, right? They're going to tell a friend, they're going to tell a girlfriend. But unfortunately, we see that there are many times where people just keep their mouths shut. Why hasn't there been press conferences reminding people about Porch Guy video and keeping Nancy's name in the news? Did me that. to remind everyone the reward is 1.2 million to promote tip lines and phone numbers. I mean, that's a great question. But this is why I feel like the streamers have been trying to keep this in the news, right? Once they said trying to keep this active, alive, because we know that what do we keep saying? Once mainstream media has moved on to the next crime, because we know the criminals are just out of control and winning nowadays. The criminals are just like, the criminals are running the world. The criminals know the law better than us because they have civil rights and all this. And I'm just like, I don't want to say take away people rights, right? Because as an African American, I don't want Black American people rights to be taken away. But it's just like, what do you do? Because the criminals hide behind the law. It's a sad day. It's a sad, sad day. You know, maybe they should bring back citizens arrest. I don't know, with guns and stuff now, people are being pow, pow, pow. It'd just be a hot mess, just crazy. But this is why the streamers continue to talk about everything, because for that reason, did me that for that specific reason, because we knew sooner or later it's going to be this day. It's 30 days. It was 15 days. It's 30 days. It's 45 days. It's 65 days. It's 70. We over 150 days. Mainstream media is not coming back. And that's why I have no respect for KOLD News, KVOA. Really? They jumped on, oh, these people got arrested, but y'all weren't keeping her name in the news because you have a boss and they have to go to what? They got to go on to the next story. And the next story was, oh, the streamers got arrested. Oh, the streamers got arrested. I'm just like, this is why y'all have seen, I'm like, look, I don't need that type of attention. I live here. I live here. I don't have any trouble with the law. I do not want Pima County Sheriff's Department on my hind parts. I have never been arrested. I don't want that. I don't want to pay Pima County fines. Not me. I don't want that. So it's unfortunate with what has happened with this case, with this abduction, right? It's so unfortunate that it went left, it went right, it went, hey, Tanya, I'm not about that life. I'm not about that life. And I'm not throwing shade, no disrespect, but I don't want that, because none of us went into following this case because of that. Now, yes, some people made a whole bunch of money from it. That's fine. They were out there, but the end result is to find Nancy Guthrie. Exactly. But lots of people don't watch YouTube, but press conferences are always the biggest way to get that out. It's up to law enforcement to do this. And we already see how this case has been handled by law enforcement here. No shade, but a lot of the stuff that was done, it should not have been done. If someone is missing, you do not release the crime scene back to the family when the person, if you're not bringing the person in, here you go, your mother is back. Okay, we're going to release this. To release it within less than 24 hours, that just wasn't smart. So from the way this case was handled, and we do see there's a lot of people here. I'm not. There are a lot of people here that be trashing the sheriff. You hear me? In Costco. But these are white people. They can speak differently than my little brown behind. Okay? I'm not going to be out here. Sheriff, I voted against him, and that is my right. I did not vote for him. The first time I voted Republican was for the sheriff. I was like, this dude is not what's up. And that was basically based on my personal preference of what has happened. I'm in the UK, and this is so frustrating to watch. This happens, though. It's just that Nancy is who she is, and she got a lot of press because of who her daughter is. But this happens. A lot of people go missing, and they're never talked about, right? They don't get this much press. But based on what has happened to me getting scammed, that and the DA, and I had to go to the bottom. Hey, 911, Sheriff's Department, can you send a detective or a police, a deputy so I can talk about this and put in my. So when I saw that nothing was happening, I was like, okay, I'm voting against him because this is not working. This is not what's up. So I did. That was the first time I voted Republican because I wasn't happy with the sheriff. But that's my right. But I'm not going to get on here and think that, oh my God, and start trashing him. I live here. I'll be stupid to do that. Um, I don't know. Cicely Robinson said, do you think the case is going cold? After 155 days and nothing has happened, I think it's a little chilly. I'm not going to say it's fully cold, but I do think it's a little chilly. I ate cheese, y'all. I do think it's a little chilly. Yes. Because if the FBI said that the FBI is still following the case, it says others received during the investigation may still wait. Hold on. Let me just read the whole sentence. While some earlier reports suggested all notes were fake, more recent statements from the FBI indicate while several were fraudulent, other ransom notes that were received during the investigation may still be under investigation as potentially legitimate. Now, is it normal for the DNA test in Stacey's law? Give me 1 second, Cicely. So you see a lot of may, potentially. They're not saying anything. They're not really saying anything. But I think the case is a little chilly because if they had concrete evidence, it would have moved. We saw how quickly everything moved, right? That Friday, I think it was a Friday, right? When we were out there in the raid. So I'm like, oh, they got information. And it turned out to be nothing. So this is what makes this case so crazy. Because it's like, I feel like the people they didn't do their due diligence. They didn't do their due diligence when they kidnapped the 84-year-old with health issues. But then it's like, did they do their due diligence? Because we're still 155 days and no Nancy, nobody, nothing. It's just weird. It's like, were they smart or did they get lucky? That's the best way to say it. So, Cicely, you said, does it take this long for the DNA testing? I think it depends on how much DNA they have. And they told us it was a small amount. That small amount should have went to the FBI from the beginning, right? I'm always going to the FBI. Hey, y'all gonna investigate these people? Hey, FBI has the best resources. They're the federal government, 4242. They're the federal government. They have the best resources out there. So to send something to Florida, no disrespect to anybody that live in Florida, but I never wanted to go to Florida. And the first time I went, it was some nonsense. I said, no, thank you. There are just some states I don't want to go to. I don't. And it wasn't even white people that I had an interaction with. It was some Latinos that accused me of something. And I'm like, really? So, but, shout out to the people in Florida. I respect y'all that live there, but, there are some places that people just don't want to visit. Florida, Texas is one of them. That's just me. But if you have a bad experience, you don't want to go to that place again, right? Now, I don't know how long it normally takes for DNA testing. But if they didn't have a large amount in the beginning, I just feel like it shouldn't have bypassed and detoured to go to Florida or to any private lab. It could have been in West Bumble, you know what? It could have been in New York, New Jersey, California. It could have been in any state. I don't feel like it was smart to send something to a private lab. It should have went to the federal government. The federal government has the best resources ever. Well, I don't know. Okay, so you said Cicely. So like I said, we can go down this rabbit hole, right? Cicely Robinson is speculating. She said, I personally think that the DNA is going to come back to the family. But they did check the family's DNA. That's the first thing that they did. They did check the family DNA so it didn't come back to the family. I think that would have been quick. But what did they say? The DNA, the first thing that they said, that the DNA was not in the database. So then people started speculating like, oh, it's probably an illegal person. Illegal people, their DNA is not in the database. What did I just tell you all? Depending on where you live in Tucson, Nogales, Mexico is 45 minutes to an hour away from where I live. I live 15, 20 minutes away from Nancy Guthrie's home. If they're downtown, then maybe it's 30 minutes. If you live in South Tucson, it may be even closer. You may be 30, 20 minutes away from the Mexican border. It's very close. It's very close. And we do have a lot of illegal people here. I mean, they try to just come right across the border, the back way, right? Y'all, if y'all saw Exploring with Jim, how many water bottles, gallons of water bottles did he see while he was out there? I know if y'all follow him, then y'all saw a lot of different things out there for whom? The people that are coming across the border. They put water out there for them. Do I think that that's right, wrong, or indifferent? It doesn't matter what I think, right? But I know that people come across the border illegally. Now, I mean, they could freeze to death in the desert. It's cold as heck at night. Not now, because it's the summer. But in the winter, it's cold as F you could freeze to death in the desert. And then in the daytime, you can, die of heat exertion, dehydration, right? So if the DNA wasn't in the database, then that means the person hasn't ever gotten into trouble. They've never been arrested where they had to take their DNA, and or they're illegal. If there are any other avenues or explanations that y'all know, share them in the comments. But that's the only two things that I know, that I can think of. Either they have never been arrested or they're illegal. Now, if they're illegal, that causes, if they're illegal, oh, we're going to send them back to Mexico. You're never going to find them unless someone talks. And I feel like as of now, so if they only had a small amount of DNA, maybe they would have had more if the house wasn't released back to the family. Imagine something awful happening in your home, right? The blood was still on the porch, but what if there was blood in the house? The family's going to clean that blood up, right? You're going to start picking stuff up once the police release the property, the house or whatever, back to the family. They're going to start cleaning up. They're going to start picking stuff up. We don't know what they found in the house because the family they're not going to tell us that. The FBI is probably telling them, don't talk to anybody about what you found in the house. But the fact that the house was released back to the family in such a short span of time, if there was more DNA evidence, it's been tampered with now. So they said that they only had a small amount of DNA. That's why the DNA should have went to the FBI, right? Because if they don't have a lot of DNA, what they trying to pull blood from a rock? So it's just like, maybe if they had more strands of the DNA, if they had more DNA evidence, then maybe it wouldn't be taking as long. But I would rather them take a long time to work with the small amount of DNA that they have instead of just going fast and messing it up. Now, I don't know how DNA works, y'all. I'm not a forensic scientist. I don't know how DNA works, but them sending it to Florida, and then now they're sending it to the FBI. The FBI may have a lot more. The forensic scientists may have a lot more to do to preserve that small amount of DNA to try to pull water from a well. No, I don't want to say that. To try to pull water from a rock. I think it's a hard job. So now they're talking about using, what's the woman's name? The genealogy lady. I don't know her name. Blonde hair. Okay. Um, they're trying to use the genealogy lady to see if they can follow the genes. But then that poses another problem with these companies, because they don't want people still want their privacy until something like this happens. Didamy that says, to be fair, the family didn't seem to visit the house after the crime. The streamers were there most of the time and never saw family. Okay. Now, I came like maybe a week after everything that came out. CC, thank you. Yellow dogs, thank you. So but they did hire security, right? Security was in the house. I don't know who was in the home, but if you don't secure the home as law enforcement, there's law enforcement walking through. What do they always say with the crime scene? What do they always say with the crime scene? We need to preserve the crime scene. We need to preserve the crime scene. And I'm not even in law enforcement, and I know that. So I don't know who was there, but what does that do legally? Say they go in a closet and they're like, oh my God, we found some new DNA, right? Say they go and they say, oh, we found new DNA. Well, on the flip side, what will happen is, and then they get a hit, right? In court, what can the defense attorney argue? Well, how do we know? They can say something like, they can argue it could have been anybody that brought the DNA there, especially if it's somebody that she knows. Well, that person was there at any time. Say it's not family, say it's a friend, say it's a friend of a friend that just came to the house once, right? You don't when they release the crime scene back to anyone, and it's no longer a crime scene and law enforcement is not locking it down, they open up the door for reasonable doubt when you go to court, right? So Diane Spring says, I fear the DNA isn't coming for a while. I do too. Thank you so much, Yellow Dogs, for CC. So now CC, the genealogist, they did interview her. Somebody did interview her. But the sad thing about that is that takes time. And then they got to go through these DNA companies. Now, what happens if these DNA companies are like, because they do block it. Like I did my DNA, I wanted to know my African roots, right? My tribe and things like that. And one of the selling points was they have it on their website is, I should have did it when it was $99. I ended up paying $199. I'm like, dang, Shantae, you always trying to wait for the sale, and then it went up. But one of their selling points is they destroy your DNA. They do not keep your DNA. So many of us still want privacy, right? We want privacy. We want certain things, but we still want our privacy. So law enforcement is trying to tap into these DNA companies to track down criminals. But if it's me and I'm like, well, I did my DNA. Oh, and your so-and-so and so-and-so family member did this. Your once removed cousin, whatever. I mean, if the cousin did this, then the cousin need to go to jail, whatever, right? However I feel about it. But everyone may not feel the same way I feel. And some people may say, well, I don't want them using my DNA. So a lot of these companies have restrictions or privacy guidelines in place to protect the people that are doing their DNA, that they're running their DNA to see who their lost family members or whatever, right? But I wonder, will they put something in there in regards to, like, okay, so when you go to the hospital and you get a procedure done, you sign your consent based on Henrietta Lacks, right? They took her cervical cancer cells. And what do they call that? Some doctors don't even know who she is, but they went to medical school. And what is it? The HeLa cells. They're still using her cells to this day. She died a horrible death of cervical cancer, screaming. You come down the street, you hear her screaming. She's in so much pain. They took her cells. Her family died. She died poor. Her family's still poor behind it. That was an amazing book. That was an amazing book, but I felt so bad. So now they have us signing consent forms, right? So your DNA can be sent wherever when you get a procedure done or whatever. They take your blood. You don't have control over that. You signing consent away. Oh, well, we can take this and do whatever we want. Maybe one day they'll do that with the DNA, especially with the way these criminals are doing. We saw that on SVU. They use they took that. They probably took that directly from the headlines. And what did they say? They found the whatever rapist, right? He was an old head, an older dude. They found out who he was because the daughter did a DNA, whatever, right? Oh, let me find out. What is it? 23andMe. What's the other one that everyone? Ancestry.com. They did that. And Carisi went and used it. And she was like, oh, he was like, well, I thought it was better to get an apology, to apologize than to ask for it in advance. Right. So that's what they did. But maybe going forward, the legal team of these ancestry companies will put something in there. Now, I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent, you all. Hey, Love Like the Sun. I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent. I don't know. People may not want, because some people know that their family members have done something illegal and unalive someone, and they still keep their mouth shut. So using these genealogy companies, these DNA companies to track criminals, they may not want that. Just like Apple. Apple is like, well, we need to get into this phone. Well, you got to get a court order. Because we do want our privacy. But what happens when the criminals are using certain things? And that's where the lines get crossed. I feel like that's where the lines get crossed. Let me open up this window. I'm not going to open up the door, but I'll open up the window. Maybe the wind is blowing somewhere. Y'all, I'm telling you, my throat is getting all scratchy. So I'm like, I sleep with the air conditioner at night, but I can't have the air conditioner on. I do not want a summer cold. I still want to get in the pool. We have 7 days of school left, 2 exams and 3 quizzes. And I'm like, well, sir, what are we doing here? So it just comes a time where privacy and solving cases crosses the line. And we just don't know. It depends on the person and it depends on the company. People are like, we want our privacy. We want our privacy. So, and then sometimes we give our privacy away for safety. And then later on down the line, we find out, oh my God, we just signed away all our rights. Right? People were saying that about the Patriot Act. Now they could just go into your stuff because of what happened with 9/11. Some people are okay with it. Some people aren't. And this case is bringing about a lot of questions where it's like, do you, don't you? Will you, won't you? For lack of better words. Let me get to y'all comments. So we know that there are a lot of things that happen with this case where if certain things didn't happen, would it be this bad? Would they have found out who did it? So we do know that DNA takes longer, but DNA comes back. Okay. So this is what they always say when they talk about on true crimes. They're like, on true crime shows, they're like, the law enforcement is like, oh, the DNA It's not like a TV show where in an hour it's whatever, right? So it does take time. I thought it takes months. I did think and hear that it takes months, but they were also talking about that they only had a small amount of DNA. So it may take a little bit longer because they're trying to be very cautious and careful with the little bit amount of DNA, with the little DNA that they have. Um, is totally at fault. Peace. Okay. Pima County, PCSD. Yeah, totally. So Didymi that says, yeah, totally get that. PCSD is totally at fault for releasing the crime scene. I do think that, you know, but like I said, they did talk to CC. I do remember her talking about it. But they are running into issues with these companies where they're just like, they're running into a brick wall, because these companies are like, you're not just going to come in here and take this and search this and search that. Love Like the Sun said they use Ancestry or 23andMe DNA database in the Idaho quadruple 187 to help connect the DNA on the stuff to the unalivened. And y'all can read the comment. Y'all know streamers have to say things a certain way, or we are, you know, the video would be taken down. And y'all know my last video that I did, YouTube took it down quick because I was exposing scammers. But so they do use a lot of the DNA companies, the database, right? Because everything is about data now. When you're on social media, everything is about data. I don't know if y'all saw the TV show The Audacity, but everything is about data. This is how the Facebook, Google, all this is how all of these, TikTok, Instagram, this Instagram is Meta, right? WhatsApp is a little bit locked though. But these companies, they're all about data. That's how they make their money. They sell your data to different companies. So say the older people, the veterans. Oh, we got this. The federal government gives a company $1 billion to do whatever with the data. They're going to sell that data to who? Life insurance companies, car insurance company, all these places that can market to those people. And that's the scary part. They just take your data. Data. What does this person know about Nancy? Oh, SoCal gal. She has no idea that I was out there, right? What do you know about anything? She has no idea that I was one of the streamers that was out there. Poor little tink tink. You look real stupid, gal. You shouldn't have said that. You should have went through some of my videos before you said that, okay? Because I was one of the streamers that was out there. So yeah, happy Monday to your stupid ass. Okay, y'all. Sorry. Right? I've been doing so well. But they said new YouTuber looking for Nancy Inside. You have no idea. You have no idea who I am. But kudos to you, SoCal gal outdoors. Greetings, Miss Saint. So poor little tink tink. You don't know who I am, right? Not a new YouTuber. I was out there. Thank you kindly. So like I said, there's a lot of speculation, but the only way we're going to really find out, thank you, Rare Beans and Rice. SoCal, she don't know. She probably done hopped out now like, oh my God, I look stupid. But because there is so much technology out there with DNA and stuff, if someone does say something about where she is, like, okay, so I know where she is, blah, 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 they may be questioned. They will be questioned by the FBI. They will be questioned. Thank you. Thank you, Didymi that. I loved your video at 2 a.m. with pretty green eyes. It's what up, Coley? And And we went out there because I wanted to see. I wanted to see what it was like at the time that she was abducted. And the crazy part is like to know, okay, this is the time of the person that was on the front camera, the front porch. And then to know how much time went past until the spark or the episode from Nancy's pacemaker. That was a long time. 20 minutes. I feel so bad. I feel so bad because we wouldn't want anyone's grandmother to be taken in that manner. That's just wrong the way they do this to older people, right? But with all of the DNA and everything, if someone does say, okay, I know something, I know where she's buried. Now, the FBI is going to be out there. They're going to be out there. They're going to be out there with whatever they do, but they're going to try to find DNA. They're going to try to find fingerprints. They're going to try to find everything to link it to the person that has done this. Can we get the 60 likes? 4 more likes, right? So I that's what it is. This is what I'm speculating about, y'all. It's all speculation, right? But I feel like people may be afraid to say something because even if it's the Good Samaritan, they may be afraid to say something because if she's found, when she's found, they're going to be checking DNA. So even if the person that did it, let's just go down this rabbit hole. The person that did it say, oh man, I feel so bad. I feel so bad that this has happened. I want to tell the family where they are. Will they really say something? Would they really say something? Because of DNA and because of technology and because they can be caught. Thank you so much, guys, for putting it to 60. Like it's just it's crazy. I just got here. So has the FBI or Nanos figured out who the porch guy is? So Love Like the Sun, the Tucson streets is saying that they think it's a woman. They really need to release more video footage from the 41 minutes of footage they confirmed the perps were in the house. So that's what we were talking about, right? The FBI always come after the fact. The FBI is not going to tell us anything until someone is in handcuffs. I'm sorry. I'm just reading the comments. So I was wondering if there was footage in the house. They did say that there was footage in the house. I think the FBI took a camera off the building, off the house, right off the top of the house. But in my heart of hearts, I feel like they should release a little bit more. Travelcado, greetings. They think the porch guy is female. What do you believe, Tay? Greetings. I don't know. I thought it was a man, but if someone unalives someone in front of me, they're going to get away with it because I can't say, oh, they had brown eyes. Oh, their eyebrows was like this. That's not, I can't say it. I'd be like, I think they had on pink. Maybe they had on blue. Maybe it was purple. I'm one of those people that don't have a quick memory. I think they would have to really like sit me down and go through, okay, let's go through the whole thing and help me to try to remember what the person was wearing. So the streets is saying, I thought it was a man. I thought that the person, the porch person was a fall guy. I thought that they were the fall guy. I don't think that person is still alive. I do believe that it was at least 3 people. I do believe that after, we're at 155 days. I do believe that she's no longer alive. I do believe that. I hope that she has gone on to be with God, because who wants to be held in captivity for over 100 and some odd days? Yes. So I wish they would release a little bit of the footage, but if they haven't released, this is what I'm going to say. If they have 41 minutes of footage inside the house of the perps, I feel like they thank you to whoever gave me the gift. I'm so sorry. I didn't even see that. I see it popped up. Thank you to whoever gave me the gift. I appreciate you. Oh, it's Doodlebug. Thank you for the floating heart. I feel like if they didn't release that footage, then it's not enough. Maybe they're still covered up. Maybe it looks like what's the word on the streets there? I wonder that it's a woman. That's what I've heard. You know, I go to the gym with a bunch of older people, and that's what I'm hearing in supermarkets. And, my ear is always like, I'm always ear hustling. So they're saying that they think it's a woman because of the way the person moved, the way I thought it was a dude, though. I thought it was a dude. But if they don't have DNA, I feel like the person may be illegal or they've never been arrested. And if they're illegal, then they probably didn't ship them back to Mexico. They could go. I heard a story of the person was from Mexico. They sent the person back to Mexico. They helped to unalive someone. And then what did they do? The brains of the operation, they went and framed the person for Ruggs with a D, and the person got all this time in prison. So it's just like so many things just could be so crazy about this. Yes, Travacado said, yes, seems more masculine, but what do I know? Me either, but that's what I think as well. I thought it was a man. I guess it could be a tough, strong woman. Could be that too, right? But the person did seem like they didn't work out. They seemed like they had like a male bod. No disrespect to anybody to have a male bod. I got a woman bod, right? I'm trying to work on it though, but it seemed like someone that was out of shape. I feel like I said, I feel like that person was the fall guy. That person was the fall guy, and I do not think that person is still alive. What if they used someone that was a little special, a little slow? How many times do we hear about stories where someone that's easily influenced? So, someone that's easily influenced, like, because no one can influence me and say, I love my friends and my family, but they can't say, hey, we're going to go rob and unalive this person. I'm like, I ain't with that. Are you crazy? I don't want to go to jail. I've never been arrested. I don't want to. What? I'm not doing that. But there are some people that I don't know. They're so easily influenced. They're like, okay, we're going to go do this. And I feel like that's Porch Guy. And I personally don't think Porch Guy is still alive. Somebody had to be the brains of this operation. Either they were super smart, like I said, or they were super lucky. Now, if there are 40 some odd minutes, if there were 40 some odd minutes, oh, Coley said it looked male to them. If it was 47 minutes, 40 some odd minutes, right, that they were in that woman's house, and there is footage, the only thing I can think as to why the FBI has not released any more footage is because they were fully covered up and maybe they look just like Porch Guy. Because, the FBI will release still shots and this, that, and the third. They haven't released anything except for the porch thing. And I'm like, so I do think the case is a little chilly. I do. Travacado, and what do you think the motive was? I thought the motive was money. I thought the motive was money. I was like, oh, well, an unalive person wouldn't be, a person that's unalive is of no money to anyone. If this person is a business person, they want money, then they would keep that person alive. They would have done some recon. They would have made sure that she had her medicine. They would have fed her. They would have taken care of her, because in the end, okay, we want the money and we'll give your mama back to you. We'll drop her off at the border somewhere and we're going on about our business. Drop her off and give her a phone, a burner phone, put the GPS. I don't know, something. Well, those burner phones can be tracked now too. But I thought it was money. But now, Travacado, I'm just a little confused. Because if one of the ransom notes is real and it says, well, she's now with nature, she's one with nature now, I'm just like, so you just kidnapped this woman just to kidnap her and unalive? Well, that's stupid, because you didn't get anything, and now you got to be looking over your shoulder and hoping that the people that did this with you don't say something. You're welcome. I'm just, and like I said, all we're doing is speculating. That's all we can do is speculate. But honestly, Travelcado, I thought the motive was money. But to ask for Bitcoin, I'm like, okay, you can ask for Bitcoin, but what happens when you go to take the money out? That can be tracked. You have to have some type of bank account, send the money to Switzerland. I don't know. I don't do things like this. So I'm just like, I went back to, oh, they're going to ask for cash, right? That's what I'm thinking. But then I'm like, no, this is, Shantae, this is the crypto world. So, but with technology, it can be traced somewhere. I do agree with that. FBI play psych games with the killers, not going to show all the evidence. They play dumb. That I agree with that. I do agree with that. And like this, the FBI told me, they said we come in after the fact. When I told them about my scamming, it's like the FBI comes in after the fact. So I just didn't think that we would be 150 days in, 150 plus days in, and then they still don't know anything. I never in a million years did I think about that. It just doesn't, the motive is not, sometimes the motive is blatant, right? It's just right there. You can see it. The motive here is just like, so you took an 84-year-old woman. I already said how people that are older, we complain as young people. I'm middle aged. I complain. Older people complain way more. That's hard ass chair. This, y'all ain't feeding me. It's hot in here. It's cold. I need my medicine. But one of the ransom notes said that she basically died during the abduction. But if you didn't know that she has heart issues, then that was on them. They were just special. You don't know that well, you just thought, oh, I'm just going. This is why I don't know the motive, Travelcado. This is the most bizarre case that I have ever seen. And it may be 20 years before we know anything. And like I was saying, out there in the desert, the dirt is hard. So it had to be multiple people digging. It had to be multiple people digging to dig a grave. If it's a shallow grave, all of the animals, the coyotes and stuff, they're going to dig it up. We would have found something. Somebody would have said something. It's just weird. But then we know that some people don't say anything. Like when I look at some of these true crime stories and they like, oh, the dude that unalived his father. What was that? Something, they had like a skateboard company. And he unalived his dad. And she lied to police. She lied to the police, knowing that he could have possibly unalived his dad. And she married him thinking she was going to have this great life. And it wasn't until they broke up. And that's when she came to the police with her mother, excuse me, and told everything. And I'm like, so I'm going to sleep in the bed with someone that unalived his daddy. And what I don't understand the mindset of some people. I don't know. So some people are just going to keep their mouths shut no matter what. And even with the sheriff, when he said, oh, it could be 10 years from now, he's telling the truth about that. This is the vast desert. And people will unalive someone and take them out into no man's land, and you won't ever see them again. Some people are found, some people aren't. And that's just the reality of living in the desert. So to you all that told SoCal, right, that I enjoyed cooking for the streamers. I did. Tucson is a beautiful place, and we are so helpful to each other. I have never seen so many people that are so helpful. Um, so I just had to show the love of Tucson to people that are not Tucsonians or Tucsonans, right? So I enjoyed doing that for them. I did. Um, yes, love like the sun. Um, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nano said it could be 10 years from now. And that's just the reality of living in a desert. Unless someone talks, and this is dark. I'm going to say this. This is very dark. Unless someone has a heart and decides to say something, um, Nancy may never be found. That's the sad part. Tucson is a beautiful place. Arizona is a beautiful place, but Arizona has so much desert. Imagine if they took her from here to Phoenix. That's a 2-hour ride of just open land. So if there were 3 people and that porch guy was one of them, do you think he's the only one that went into her house that night? I think that there were other people in her house. And I think that the FBI is holding on to certain information so that way, if someone says something, then they will know that that person has something to do with it. You know how they may, oh, she had a pink bra, and that's not released to the public. They hold on to things that they don't release to the public. So that way, in the end, can we get 4 more likes to make it 70? That way, in the end, they will know that specific piece of information will show that, okay, this is they knew something about this. I see. And doodle. Okay, so let me see. um it's Doodlebug. You said it was nice because you had just met them. One thing about me is I like to live in high vibrations. I'm nice to everyone. Everyone isn't nice to me, but I'm nice to everyone. So just wanted to show them some love. These men were here, and it was mostly men, and then the young lady was there, and I know that they were eating fast food. They were out there for 12 hours. So I'm like, the least thing I can do. Y'all see, I cook. I fed the homeless on Thanksgiving. So it's not like I just did that for them just for social media. Um I love giving back. I love being a human, and I feel like we should show each other more humanity than nonsense. In my opinion, I don't believe they ever intended to keep her alive. So the question is, who would want Nancy unalive and or benefit from her death? Do they want her money or her assets? That's a great point. I try to be nice, Travel Kado. Um, and that's a great point. And you said Reddington Pass. Now, I still don't really know Tucson, right? So is Reddington Pass north, south, east, or west? Let me look it up. I don't know where Reddington Pass is, but they have Gates Pass. They tell people to go to Gates Pass. Is it called Gates Pass? Gate something. But if you go down, it's east. Okay. So it's that way. It's farther her way. Okay. And then west is Gate something Pass, where they say if you want to go and see the Milky Way, because if it's really dark, sometimes we can see the Milky Way. We can see the galaxy that we live in. Yo, I'm telling you, if you love nature, Arizona is beautiful, but don't move out here because the price of living is already going up. It didn't went up since I moved here. The houses was like 200. It was like mid 200s. Now is mid 300, almost 400. I said, damn, I should have bought a house when I first moved here. I would have had some equity, right? But Reddington Pass, this Gates Pass. Oh wow, Reddington Pass is just vast land. But then, like I said, if they're not going to just sit her body out in just, they're going to try to bury her, right? They're going to try to bury her because if they don't, then, like I said, she can be dug up by the animals. So if it's a rough terrain, I don't know if they will be able to, because I think she is buried, right? We don't want to think about how people, I don't want to even think about that, right? I want to just say they buried her. I don't want to say they dismembered her and did all this other crazy nonsense, right? But I feel like if because the land is so hard out here because it is desert, and it wasn't rainy season when she was abducted, I feel like they will have to keep. Okay, so I'm gonna get to that Travacado. So like you said, how would they bury her in that hard desert? So what they would have to do, this is why I say it had to be multiple people. You have to dig. It's water digging, water digging, water digging. So I don't feel like they just took her somewhere and just threw her. I don't feel like that is what happened. I feel like they had to bury her because there are coyotes. We have mountain lions or a mountain lion. I think they said they saw a cheetah in the yeah, so she is so small. But if they just put her out in the elements, you will smell, the animals will come, a bone would be, I feel like they buried her. If this true with the ransom note and they said she's with nature now, um I feel like they buried her if they got rid of her that way. R8 said maybe in Mexico. Now, thank you, MG. Thank you for sending the sparkles. I appreciate you. So they were saying that as well, that maybe they went to Mexico and they buried her. But I'm gonna say this: to get across the Mexican border, when you're driving and you leaving America, leaving the United States, they don't care, right? They're like, oh, bye, don't come back, right? No, I'm not saying they don't say that, right? But they're just like, they don't say bye, but they don't really pay you any attention because you're leaving the United States, right? So they could have put her in the trunk, right? And she had a heart attack and passed away, and then and took her to Mexico. But I don't know about the soil in Mexico. It's a third world country, so it's a little different where, oh my God, if someone sees it, are they going to say anything? They may not say a word. They may pay them, they may not say a word. I wonder where in Tucson is the ground not hard? Is there anywhere? I don't think that there is anywhere in Tucson where the ground isn't hard. Like y'all saw when I had to put my lights, water, water, water. Wonder how the perps first became aware of her and thought of this scheme. I think that was because it's not normal to go and try to kidnap or abduct an 84-year-old, right? Say they were trying to get the organs. Well, an 84-year-old organs, you would want a young person for that. Say it was money. Well, they should have did a little bit more recon, like I said. I don't, it's just, unless the only thing we could think of is Savannah. Oh my God, that's the woman I know. I've been to her house. I know her cousin. I don't know, right? Just speculating, just throwing something out there, right? Oh my gosh, she was on TV. That's her daughter? I don't know. But then Savannah, that's the first thing Savannah said. Do you think they did this because of me? That is a heavy monkey that's on her back. That's why I say I respect this woman. But her mother prepared her for grief. She said that. It's just some of our families just go through so much. And you really don't realize how strong you are until you go through some crap. And she's the baby. And then she's on TV. It's just it's sad, and she got to come there and smile and good morning, welcome to the Today Show, I'm Savannah Guthrie, blah blah. And it's just like, y'all, sometimes I get in front of this camera and I don't want to be like, hi, how you doing? Because we go through things, right? Maybe they saw Nancy out and out and about knowing she was Savannah's mom. Could have been that. It could have been a worker. They were talking about that as well. They were, I remember I read an article about they were talking about a house that was being built or something, and there were workers. It's just postman delivery. It's all speculation. At this point, it could be anyone. And the FBI is not giving us any more pieces of information. And I think maybe because what they have, they're holding it close to their chest because they like, okay, so when we do make an arrest, at least we have this information to hold against them. People keep talking about her church, but I heard she's been watching a New York church online for a few years. Is it true? I thought that she was going to, it was a church here, but it was online because of COVID. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure. Yes, Savannah, Annie, and Cameron lost their dad when Savannah was young. She said she was 16 and she walked into that same house, and her sister Annie and her mom was on the couch, and they told her that her dad had passed away in an accident. I think it was in Chile. But like I said, at least they were able to bring his body back and have a proper funeral. They can't do that for Nancy. And to know that they may never, this is dark, right? But if I'm being real about this, I live here. This is vast land. Shout out to the people that go out and search. I would have did more searches, but y'all know I'm getting my butt kicked in school. Okay, I'm trying to finish up this degree since I have the opportunity, but now it's hot. I feel like if she was close enough for where somebody can smell something, if they just put her out there in the elements, they said, well, police say once you smell a unalive body, you would, you know, that smell. But it's just, it could have been anyone. But this family cannot have any peace not knowing what happened to their mother. Well, they know what happened, but not knowing what happened afterwards, not knowing if she's alive or unalive, not knowing anything. And then they can't put her to rest. Like if we thinking about things spiritually, this woman, how can her spirit be at rest? Are people's spirit at are people's spirits at rest when they die a horrible a violent crime? That's what hurts the worst amongst Savannah's family, and so many other people that have a missing person and they haven't seen their, it was a local church, okay, and they don't know what happens to their family member. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. It's bad knowing, oh my God, this has happened to my family member, and you looking at the video, you like, what the hell, right? But then to know like, well, we don't have her back, or we don't have him back, and we don't know what happened to them. The not knowing is probably worse than the actual crime. Not knowing what happened. Let me see. So that's my speculation. I wish that we knew more. I wish we knew more. I wish we knew, some of the information as far as the cameras that was in the house, that were in the house, the camera that was on the roof. But all we can do now, just like with any case, all we can do now is look at it as a learning lesson with our elderly people in our family, or the elders in our family. Make sure that their Ring camera is up to date. But a lot of these young people, I'm gonna tell y'all, young people, a lot of the older people that are here, they're like, I don't want an Alexa in my house. We were talking about this at the gym the other day over the holiday. At the beginning, I thought it was probably a grandson of one of her friends from church. It was just a feeling that I got. We thought it was the friend of the family, the girl Kayla, and then the dude. It's just that's what makes things so bad. It's like when you get robbed and you don't know who did it. You're looking at everybody like, I know the family is looking at everybody. I will hope that the family is not being divided because the whole world is talking about Nancy Guthrie. Maybe not as much, but when this first happened 150 days ago, everybody was talking about it. You heard someone in here said they're in the UK. Was it Diddle Me This? They're in the UK. It says some of your friends, Miss Penny says some of your friends around there have made sense with things and others are trying to understand things differently. I feel like everyone is Chavocado said I didn't see any curves or lady lumps. That too, right? But there are a lot of people who are part of the LGBTQ. I'm sorry if I'm saying this wrong, y'all. LGBTQ community, right? That take down. I feel like it was a dude, but it seemed like he had a male bod. Okay, I just wanted. I thought I saw a comment. Thank you, is Doodlebug, for calling me a sweetheart. I try to be. I do get a little crazy at times. Rare Beans and Rice says, I really think it was the wrong house. And that's why Jim couple left. Nancy's address showed up as their address too. What? I didn't know that. Nancy's address showed up as somebody else's address? Also, your reenactment of that late night, wee hour in the morning abduction of Nancy was unbelievably chilling. That late night narration and drive you did left me feeling horrified for Nancy. And like I said, I wanted to see it for myself because I'm not out at 2 a.m. in the desert, even with my pal. Tay not doing that. But when I said that to Behind Green Eyes, and she said she wanted to do it, I was like, then we could go out there together. Were we nervous that the police were going to come out there? Absolutely. Right? But I was like, the police are not riding through here. We got the lights off. It's only us two. And thankfully, nothing happened. Right? We heard the wolves that night, though. The coyotes. Woo! We heard them. But I wanted to experience it myself, just for myself to know. But I'm happy that she went out there with me so we could share that with you all, because it showed a different side. And it's unfortunate. It's beyond unfortunate what Nancy went through as an 84-year-old woman. You come home from having a great evening with your daughter and your son-in-law and the grandchildren, and y'all have fun and whatever. And then you come home and you take your clothes off and wash your face and brush your teeth and be like, oh, thank you, God, for my family. And you go to sleep. And then you're startled because someone has been, y'all, I locked this mother up like Fort Knox. Okay. I got cameras everywhere. Everywhere. I'm not even a star, and my parents have been having cameras around their home. But I noticed that a lot of the stars ran out and got their parents' security. My whole thing is I'm gonna say something about that Doodlebug. It's Doodlebug. When I talk to the elders in this community, they are so independent. And so many of them, there's a woman, she come and do Zumba. She good, right? I don't know if she has any health issues, but from what I see, she's good. She was like, I don't like Alexa. I don't want anyone listening. And that is what a lot of the elders say. They don't want that in their house. Now, unless they have a child where it's like, I don't care what you want, I need you to be safe, right? What if they sabotage the camera? It's just, it's you're fighting with someone that is getting older, and they still want their independence, and they may not really understand technology to even fully understand the level of wickedness that's outside your house, right? People smile, hey, how you doing, you know, and then next thing you know, they try to unalive you, because it happens, right? But they don't want it in their home. A lot of people, because I even said, like, well, if she had an Alexa, then things may have been different. Alexa, call 911, right? That's what I would have kept been saying. But then the person was in the house for 20 minutes before she even knew it. Did they unplug stuff? It's bizarre, because we don't know what they did in that house for the 20 minutes before she had before the pacemaker, before she had an event with the pacemaker. We don't know what they were in the house doing. Were they unplugging the cameras? Well, how would they know where the cameras are? It's just too many questions. And until someone says, I can't, this is weighing too much on my heart, I got to say something, we're not going to know anything unless the FBI gets something. Oh, look at that collarbone, girl. Unless the FBI gets a break in the case, or they get a break with the DNA, or CC, who the FBI or whoever is trying to get what are they called through the courts? Subpoenas to use the DNA database companies to get some information. We're not going to know anything. And that's why, like, I appreciate you all for joining me tonight, because I'm just like, I live here, and I think it hurts you all as much as it hurts me. This is why whoever streams about it, people are on it, right? They're in there because it's I think we're in awe as to who in the world in their right mind would do this to somebody, to an 84, who would do this? And then it's 150 some odd days. And so I fell back and started doing other things, but I also needed to heal mentally from what I have been through. But I wanted to cover this. I wanted to go down the rabbit hole with you all, because I'm just like, this is insane. It's been over 5 months: February, March, April, May, June, July, right? July 1st made 5 months, if we're just counting the months, not counting the days. And it's like, wait, so we still know as much as we know from day one? We're still in the same boat. It's like day one of her being taken, and we still don't know anything. That's just, this is going down in history as another. They're gonna make a video or something about this. They're gonna make a movie about it, or it's gonna be on a true crime, just like they did the guy that got at the I always want to call it Palmerina Junction. That's in Gambia. La Paloma. Is they're gonna make something, but I think they're probably waiting until they get, so they don't speculate. So it's based on true, it's a true crime documentary. But I feel like if we would have found out months ago, somebody would have done a documentary on that, quick, fast, and in a hurry. But we still don't know anything. We are still in the dark. They didn't have the lifeline support. The lifeline support Nancy at her age. I can't believe it. Everyone, Alexa is calling. Everyone's Alexa is calling 911 right now from what I said. I'm sorry, y'all. Especially because when I'll be like, Alexa, some people be like, yeah, my Alexa is answering you. I'm not gonna lie, I was thinking about getting one. But that's because, like, That's a great way to use Miss Alexa Travacado said. Um, and see, Love Like the Sun says, I agree with the elders, no Alexa. So it's definitely a personal preference. Why do I want an Alexa? A lot of times I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm doing something, and a thought comes to my mind, right? And I don't have to write it down. I could say, Alexa, take this note in regards to me writing my books, right? But I don't mind. I mean, they're listening anyway. If you have TV, if you have internet, if you we know what the movie what Enemy of the State, if you have anything that has to do with technology and it's connected to the internet, they're always listening. So it's this false sense of I have privacy. We have no privacy. We don't have any privacy. Let me use proper English. We don't have any privacy. How many times you're on the phone with someone and the next thing you know, you go into social media or something and you're getting ads, cookies. No matter how much. Now, maybe Apple's a little different because they have these commercials. The guy is sitting at the library and she was like, what is this? Oh, this is a something. Every time I go to a website or something he said, he was like, it's annoying. The way he said it, but it was on his back. They were all on the treadmill. Anytime you open up a browser to look for something, the cookies are right there, right? So it's this false sense of privacy. We don't have any privacy. We don't have any privacy, guys. We don't. If you have a cell phone, you have internet, your privacy is gone. Someone is listening. What do they say? Mark Zuckerberg, he has tape and stuff on all of his devices, his laptop for the webcam, because people can hack into it and then they looking at you and if you don't see the red light or whatever, you don't even know. So we have this false sense of privacy. We don't have any privacy. We don't have any privacy. We don't have any privacy. So I was literally thinking about getting an Alexa, and I may get one. The flyers need to be written in Espanol and English and show the porch guy, and billboards especially need to. Wait, Kara, you said something about that with JLR. I can't find that comment. You said something, someone said something about when JLR did the flyers, right? And they said, someone said they can't believe that when he did the flyers. Oh, there you go. It's Doodlebug said it. Okay. Me, how many people around Tucson never knew about it based on JLR handing out flyers at Walmart. Now I ain't gonna tell y'all. Sometimes in Walmart, I'll be looking around like, where the hell did these people come from? I'm sorry. You see the craziest things in Walmart, right? All around. What some people call it Wally World. All around the world, you see the craziest things in Walmart, right? But even when I was in school, some of the young people didn't know. I'm like, okay, I get that, but there were quite a bit of people that did not know, which is amazing, right? If I didn't, because I don't watch the news. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I don't watch the news. It's depressing, happy, depressing, happy, depressing, happy. I can't ride that roller coaster. I can't. And it bothers me, right? Maybe it's PTSD from what I've been through overseas and with the criminals. I even before that, my mother's like, did you know? I'm like, oh no. Oh, I forgot you don't watch the news. My mother is the news. But now, thank God when my phone did an update, I get news. It's like within the Cashwalk app. I don't know. I just get it's news. I just get news. I get notifications. So when Charlie Kirk was unalive, I knew it. I didn't know who he was, but I knew it immediately. So the news comes immediately on my phone. I'm like, oh, well, what is this? Right? I found out that the nicotine companies, the cigarette companies are now doing nicotine patches and they investing in billions of dollars, and how in 2025, the projected sales was going from 6 billion to 600 billion. And, so I do get a lot of, I have a video that I need to do for y'all for great retirement places. And it's not the Gambia. great retirement places, right? So I do get the news. Thank you so much. It's Doodlebug. Thank you for the gift. Thank you for the jewels. Um, so I don't bother to watch the news. I can't. It's just too much for me, right? I just can't. But I feel like some other people are like that as well. And some people watch the news every night. But I was in awe at how many people did not know that this 84-year-old was missing. I was in awe. And we live right here in town. And then some people may be like, oh, she's rich. Who cares? I don't know. Some people say the most hurtful things, the most hurtful things. And I'm like, I truly hope that this doesn't happen to you or anybody in your family, because then you're going to want us to be talking about it. You know, how the neighbors were reacting. I don't, I don't live in that neighborhood, right? So I don't know. I can't say how they should be reacting. I just feel like if Chris Nanos, the sheriff, said that this could happen again, if I lived in her neighborhood, I'd be like, streamers, come back. Hey, we were just playing. We don't want them signs. Tell them to come back here. Because there was a mixed, there were mixed emotions or mixed reactions with people that wanted us there and people that didn't want us there. But we know that they had money to like, we want them out. They can't park here, bliss. And then, you know, I think someone was saying I don't know, y'all were talking about the crazy woman. I don't know who she is, right? I think I met her. I think that's the woman that said that she asked me, did I work for CNN? Because I had on a CNN raincoat. So I think she wanted to talk to me, but I don't know. I don't know who she is. Y'all know her name. But it's Doodlebug said, YouTube is my news. That's where you're going to get the real stuff. It is Big Brother. Big Brother is always listening. If the Wi-Fi went out, I guess it wouldn't work anyway. That's a interesting point. But Sue Ellen. Everybody knows Sue Ellen. I don't know if Sue Ellen doesn't have anything going on in her life that she had to, I don't know. But if Nanos is saying that this could happen again, like I said, this case is just so bizarre. It's so bizarre. Because when they were saying that the neighbors didn't want to release their CCTV footage, what are y'all hot? What in the world? Don't you know that this could have been you? Or maybe they think, oh well, she was Savannah's daughter. We not rich. We wealthy, but we're not rich on TV wealthy. We don't. I don't know. But where is the neighborhood community? And then they were just like, we wanna grieve in peace. She hasn't been found, and her abductors haven't been found. So if y'all in peace, you have this false sense of security again. And then maybe because I come from the city, I look at things differently, right? I'm like, New York, New Jersey, we like lock doors, do this, do that. Hey, you looking shady, you know, maybe we're always on guard because we come from the city. I come from the city, right? I've never lived in $1 million neighborhood or lived in a neighborhood where we left our doors unlocked. We don't do that. I don't do that. My family don't. Well, my aunt did leave her door unlocked. I'm like, no. She didn't leave it. She left the door open, but the screen door was locked. But then, I don't know. My cousin's girlfriend just left the door. We walk in. I walk in the house. I'm like, I went there to visit. And I'm like, hello, I open the door. Hey guys. And no, the door is unlocked. The back door is unlocked. No one's in the house. Dogs upstairs locked up. I'm like, where do you all think you live? In Deal, New Jersey? Colts Neck? What is happening here? Right? I'm like, yo, cuz no one's in the house. No one's there? No, and the door is unlocked. Are y'all crazy? I don't know. You live in crackheads down the street. What if somebody, you come in the house, they hiding in your house? I don't know. MG said we lock everything. Lock. This motor is locked, right? Like on a, what was that? Airplane? That Kevin Hart movie. Said this mother is locked. I don't play that. Like, I don't, um, yeah, but remember, every device you add into your home or your life, you give them back redundancies to invade your privacy in the event one device fails. That part, love like the sun. Enemy of the state, the dude said, I don't know what his name was, older white dude. I can't remember his name, but what did he say? Stay off the phone. If you're not living off the grid, most of us are not going to live off the grid. Some of the elders have phones. They get iPhones or whatever based off the new phone. Their grandchild tricked them into, yo, get this new phone. They don't know half the stuff that the phone, a quarter of the stuff that the phone does. They don't know. But they're definitely like, I don't want an Alexa. But I'm like, but how many times does this actually happen? Right? So maybe they'll look at it like, well, this is not normal. So if I don't have an Alexa, that's fine. But I feel like it's not just for crime or criminals. How many elders fall and hurt themselves? Recently, my mother told me a story about one of my aunties. She has one daughter. She spoiled the hell out of this daughter and gave this daughter whatever she wanted. And the auntie lives by herself now. She says, I'm your real mother. That's what she said. Shantae, I'm your real mother, right? So my mother was like, yo, your real mother fell and hurt herself and blah, blah, blah. Now she's in rehab. And I was like, what? Come to find out, she fell. Can you believe that she fell and she was on the ground for a week? She's lucky to even be alive. One whole week. She used the bathroom. She didn't have any water. So the family was like, really, girl? The daughter, who doesn't call their mother for a whole week? They were ripping her. But for that reason, there should be some type of, as you get older, I feel like there should be some type of, hey, Alexa, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Something. There was a young person I go to the gym with. I was like, she's not coming to yoga. She wasn't doing the exercises we were doing on Sunday. And I'm like, and I'm looking at her, I'm like, y'all know we do this class, then we do yoga. Oh, what's going on? She was like, oh, she cracked her rib. I was like, what? So now I'm thinking it's because she takes so many classes, right? She lifting, doing Les Mills body pump. She's cycling at 5:30 in the morning. I so want to be a part of the 5:30, the 5:15 crew. But I'm like, I'm tired, right? But one of these days, I'm going to be a part of the 5-something crew. She hurt herself at home, moving furniture. She fell somewhere on the couch or something and cracked her rib. And she's young, maybe in her 30s, maybe 40s. She looks amazing. Maybe she's in her 30s or something like that. She's not 20 something. She's probably definitely in her 30s or her early 40s. My aunt fell and broke her hip, etc. Was on the floor for 3 days because her son was on vacay. You see, when I was young, we could leave the door unlocked. Now lock it all, close the blinds. Society is not what it used to be. You know, even people that I look at true crime and they're like, you know, this is a picturesque neighborhood, tree line, you know, it's this nice to raise children and you don't have to lock your doors. And I yell at the TV and you about to tell me about a murder. Because unaliving happens everywhere. Rich, poor, and in between. But I feel like as people get older with an Alexa, it will help them, but they have to want it. And if they don't want it, it's going to be a problem. I grew up in a neighborhood that never locked their doors. Years later, a lady was abducted and unalived. That whole neighborhood has security systems now. And and I think it's just from, thank you for that, Rare Beans and Rice. It's just from, I think it's from like back in the day. Maybe criminals weren't as, can we get 3 more likes to make it 75? And then I'm going bye-bye. I gotta get homework done, y'all. I did not understand that lecture today. We always looking at the professor like, We did. I don't know. Everyone is just like today. I don't know what it is. I didn't even party for July 4th, right? But I feel like back in the day, it was different. People weren't as diabolical as they are now. Some of the things that we see, we're like, what with this case, we're like, what in the hell? What? Right? We're all like, I can't believe this. They took her at 2 o'clock and it was pitch black. It's just like, and I'm a firm believer that when they walked her out that front door, she screamed. That was the last time she screamed because she knew she saw the car. She like, oh my God. Right? Woo, hit in the nose, starting bloody. That's what I believe. I'm a firm believer. That's what I believe happened. And that's how it was drops of blood. Right? Because people were saying, oh, the blood was staged. And I'm like, even if you drop blood, it's not going to fall in the same, it's not going to fall in the same formation. Right? You can't control how things drop unless you're down there with, unless you're with a dropper. Drop. But then you got to be good with trigonometry, right? This is here, that's there, this is there, or geometry. You got to be steady with your hand. So my mother-in-law just passed and my father-in-law moved back to an island, and I was just telling my husband he needs safety stuff put in place. Rare beans and rice. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for your loss as well. Since you going through it, we going some sage, right? You going through it. But I'm so sorry for your loss. But see, like I said, like this situation, this is opening the door for people to look at and think about it and see like, we need a little bit more safety. We need to make sure people are safer. Maybe we need to put some cameras up. This has taught, I guarantee you, this has taught people to tighten up on their security, because a lot of times we don't know what happens until it happens. And then we're not being proactive. Now we're being reactive. People love conspiracies. We need to think simple. Things are usually going to be what they actually appear to be. And not, people do love conspiracies, but sometimes conspiracies are true. A conspiracy theory is a thought, right? And sometimes it comes out true. But we do need to we need to pay attention to, like you said, things are going to be what they appear to be. And we don't need to look at things and say, oh, that's not going to happen. Oh, that's not going to happen, because we don't know. We don't know. And all we can do was, may she rest in peace, rare beans and rice. And tell your father-in-law to still talk to her. Energy never dies. Energy never dies. But we need to be, I feel like we need to be, as people, we need to be proactive, because people are not who they were 30 years ago. I'm 46. I'll be 47 very soon. Birthday coming up. Woo woo. Right? Shout out to my cancers. I gotta buy that gift tonight. I didn't forget about you, boo. Jim with the Explorer. Somebody needs to check out the area where it was all dug up and there were crosses and flowers. So there are crosses and flowers everywhere around town, because they act like this is Grand Theft Auto. Boom, you get 5 points. Boom. I mean, they are forever hitting someone. Right? Happy birthday. You just turned 55. Shout out to you. Right? Happy birthday to all my cancers. It's cancer season. Right? Yes. It's cancer season. Before we know it, it's going to be going. Right? Before we know it, time when you wake up, you go to sleep, you wake up, you go to sleep. It's 3 months later. I'm like, where's time? Is someone making this time go fast like this? Like the clock is just going like this, because time, it just seems like time is just moving so fast. But thank you. And happy birthday to my fellow cancers in here. Happy early birthday, happy belated birthday, happy cancer season. I feel like Times are not the way it used to be. I got an exam on my birthday, y'all. I told the professor, you can't give me an F. He said, well, then I guess you're going to have to take 2 exams. I'm like, man, I don't want an F, but this chapter 3 is kicking my behind. If I understand one lesson, the next one, I'm like, okay, all right. So my whole weekend, I will be studying. I'll be studying. Well, not really. I'm going to see Moana on Friday, the 13th, Travacado. I'm a Friday the 13th baby. Friday the 13th. But like I said, people are not who they used to be 20 years ago. Welcome, Jennifer James. Thank you. Not yet, but in 1 week. I'll let you all know. I'll try to go live that night and I'll let you all know what I got on my exam. Whether I passed, failed, or got an 80. Who cares, right? I got a 98 average. The tutor said, girl, you have to try hard to fail. Okay. So I'm like, well, everything is high. If I finish with a B, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Love like the sun. Y'all always give me so much encouragement. You're going to do great on your upcoming test. I got to get ready. This is where I'm going to go. I'm going to study. But we have a quiz on Wednesday. I told you we have 7 days left. It's 2 weeks. We have class 4 days a week. We have 7 days left. We have 2 exams and 3 quizzes. And I'm just like, sir, so we're going to have an exam and a quiz every damn day? we were behind a lecture because everybody was looking at him like, he was like, okay, all right. I'm going to end here because we were just like, our brains was just fried. He could hear the eggs, the brain. This is your brain on rugs. Any questions? It was just a hot mess. Yeah, I won't fail. Thank you. I'm going to try my best. I'm not going to fail, but I want an A. I always want 100. And it's like, girl, if you knew all the stuff, then you would be up there as the professor. And I have to remind myself, it's okay, Tay. But I am an overachiever. I am. When it comes to school, I'm a total overachiever. But like I said, there are crosses and flowers everywhere, all over town. So that really doesn't mean too much. But people are not who they used to be, right? We would never hear of some of these crimes that are happening now. We would have never heard about that 30 years ago, but we're hearing about it now. And I think people have some very diabolical ways and things that we never thought. We never thought that people would be doing half the things that they're doing. So I do agree, somewhat is doodlebug that things are going to be what they are, right? Especially if people think, well, what is going to happen is written. But I feel like I don't want to be one of those people that test death, if that makes sense, right? I don't want to go out here in South Tucson in the middle of the night and have money hanging out my pocket, right? I don't want to do I want to make sure that I put safety things in place because people are not who they say they are. Thank you so much, Saint. I love you all. Right now, I'm going to leave. It's 7:13. That's funny, right? 7:13. Perfect time to say goodnight. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for my members. Thank you, Travacado. You're the only member that I saw in the live. Thank you so much for being a part of my membership. I love you all. And say a prayer for Nancy this evening, right? That she's found. And for every missing person. And then say a prayer for their family. Say a prayer for their family. No test and death. We don't have time for that. We don't have time for that. Y'all stay happy and stay healthy. I'll see you soon. Take care.